Here's my review of Totally Killer. I thought that this was a thoroughly enjoyable film as it takes the slasher movie and kind of flips on its head with a time travel twist. And I will say this movie is more funny than it is scary. Like, think it's basically Scream mixed with Back to the Future. And it is as fun as that sounds. And there's some scenes where, like, that you're like, yeah, that doesn't need to be there. That's just kind of a bad joke. But majority of it I thought was very funny. Where you're basically just following this girl named Jamie who her parents are very protective of her because of this Sweet 16 killer when her mother was a kid, her mother named Pam, who killed all of Pam's friends. And she's obviously worried the same thing is going to happen to her daughter. But Jamie's 17 here, but Jamie being just still a young girl, she's stupid and doesn't listen to her parents. And what ends up happening is like her parents actually get killed, and then it just turns into like this time travel movie, and it's a lot of fun. And you learn about these three girls, Tiffany, Marissa, and Heather, who were originally killed by this Sweet 16 killer. And you get to kind of learn about them before the time travel mumbo jumbo comes into effect, which makes it even more like it feels like a ticking clock when she actually does go back in time. And the funniest part of the movie is when Jamie meets the younger version of her mother, Pam, because she is just the worst. And it's just so funny because she's just saying all these things to like her future daughter without her knowing it. And it's like Jamie seeing her mom like that just throws her off so much. And it's just kind of hilarious because she's so different in terms of how she is in the future. So it just makes those interactions just really, really funny. And as for the actual time travel, like mumbo jumbo, her friend basically built a time machine. And it's stupid. Don't think about it like, wow, this girl's smart enough to build a time machine. She probably shouldn't even be in high school working with her. But don't think about that. And like then the Sweet 16 killer does track down Jamie, and then she like escapes into the time machine. That's how she gets back to 1987 in the first place. So just to clarify that, that's how it happened. Some like mumbo jumbo don't even think about it. Who cares? And then like I wouldn't really say, I guess it would be kind of like midpoint of the movie, like where they're at this cabin and Jamie's obviously like, yeah, we really shouldn't be at this cabin in the middle of nowhere when there's a serial killer on the loose. And it's really funny because all of like Pam and all of her friends like are so dismissive. You're like, yeah, maybe you should listen to Jamie. It's just really stupid. But at this point, it wasn't like the whole time like she doesn't actually know, like Pam doesn't actually know that Jamie's her daughter, her future daughter at least. So that's probably why they don't listen to her. And as for the killer himself, I thought it was a really cool design. And it's obviously a reference, I think, to Max Headroom, who obviously was like famous for in the 80s for interrupting this broadcast. And I'm pretty sure that's what it was heavily inspired by. I mean, it looks like it to me. But it's not like super scary, but it's kind of like more creepy. Another funny thing in this movie is that her father, Blake, like he's wearing these like muscle shirts and he like jokes about how he was really in good shape when he was a kid. And she doesn't believe him, but he was. And that's just kind of another layer on that joke that just made it a lot of fun. And as for the killer himself, who it is revealed to be, this is a big spoiler, so I'm just telling you that now. Spoilers, leave if you don't want to know. It's this guy named Chris who has a podcast in the future about this killer. And the reason that he's a killer is the the reason that he's a killer is so he can continue his podcast. But here's the thing, actually, similar to Scream, he's not actually the original killer. He just continued with the killings in order to kind of do this podcast. As for the original killer, it is this guy named Doug, who in the 80s, um, like all of the girls were this is actually really terrible. They were making fun of like his girlfriend and who they called Fat Trish. and then they made her drive home drunk, and then she got in a drunk driving accident and died. So you can completely understand why he's obviously so mad. But I mean, of course, the girls did it. They did say that they didn't actually want her to go home, and because she was drunk, but she like kind of ran away too fast. So you completely understand his motivation. I will say though, I was kind of thrown off and I was kind of confused because there were kind of two killers, but overall it was very fun though. Similar to Scream, there's also two killers. So yeah, this was just a very fun movie. Like, it's very funny. Like, it's got this mystery element of this slasher. And like I said, it's more funny than it is scary. Although there are some times where it actually is quite creepy, where like it's more of like an sign of like intensity, like where they're kind of hiding, and then you know the killer is. But it's not like a scary movie. It's much more funny, especially with the time travel hijinks. That's what kind of puts the cherry on top. So yeah, overall, I thought that this was just a very fun movie, and I would recommend that you check it out. If you got Prime Video, watch it. And one of the biggest reveals of this movie is because of the time travel hijinks. She actually has a much older brother because they got together, her parents got together way earlier, and now she has an older brother named who's actually named Jamie, and now her name is Colette. And so that's just kind of it ends with like a huge reveal, and you're like, wait, what? That's crazy. But yeah, overall, this was just a very fun movie. So yeah, this was a great movie. Fun time travel movie, fun slasher movie, just a solid film.